Hello my friends, welcome back to another episode of r/IDOWorkHereLady, where people are mistaken as regular Joe Schmoes when they actually do work at places. And the stories are super duper duper entertaining. Guys, I know it's been a while since I've done an episode about this sub, because revenge stories are just my favorite. Guys, there's gonna be 4 stories in this episode listed right here, so buckle up and let's go through some embarrassing stories. I hope you guys stay for the stories today and subscribe for future videos. My excitement level's a little too high because I've had too much caffeine. Let's get into it. This first story was sent to me by a subscriber who doesn't have a Reddit account, and it's titled, "I thought that couldn't be the price, so I just ripped off the tag." So I work at a discount retail store that puts their own store-branded tags on merchandise instead of manufacturer's tags. So as I'm walking around the store, I see a lady kind of hiding in the corner, looking suspicious. I kind of stealthily walk to a spot where I could watch her from afar, and she's ripping off the price tags of items. She didn't look like she was stealing, but I knew she was doing something shady in general, so I walked up to her and asked her what's going on. Upon walking up to her, she was startled, and I began my conversation. Excuse me, what are you doing?" She replied, "Oh, it's none of your business." I told her, "You're not supposed to be doing that in the store, so it is my business." And then she replied, "Oh, well the tag said $40, and I thought that couldn't be the price, so I ripped the tag off." I knew it was clear what she was doing. She was ripping off the price tags of items and intentionally planning to put lower prices on more expensive items, so when it's scanned, she'll pay the lower price. It's kind of smart, but I've been in retail for a long time, so this little scam isn't new to me. I said, "It's not gonna work, ma'am. When the cashiers scan the items or even see that price tags are not on properly, they'll check the price of the item." And she tells me, "You don't know that. You don't work here. I've done it before." "Ma'am, I do work here," pointing at my name tag. Okay, at this point, it's clear that she's a very dishonest person, and it's pretty much theft, and she knows she's caught. She tells me she'll never do it again, doesn't want any trouble, and literally leaves the cart in the corner, and I watch her walk out of the store. My coworkers and I laugh about it, and now we keep an eye out for her just in case she does try to come back and swap price tags. Guys, I've never worked in retail, but I was at Walmart one time, and I saw a guy with his kid try to do something like this. He was taking a sticker off of a cheaper priced hockey stick and sticking it over top of a more expensive one. If he walked up to the self-checkout scanner, scanned the expensive hockey stick and paid the lower price, and showed a printed receipt, he probably would have gotten away with it scot-free. But he didn't. Karma came along and he was caught by a Walmart employee, and I don't know what happened after. This next story is titled, "I'm your server and the manager." A few years ago, I started serving at a family-owned restaurant in my town. I quickly became close with the owner and the owner's daughter, and helped them with more than just serving. I became head server and then bar manager. Since it was a smaller restaurant, I kept serving because I made way more money that way. We had a special every day for wine. We had a shelf filled with wine bottles. Each shelf was either 15, 25, or 50% off. It was a great deal, and typically we sold it for about $5 to $10 more than we were paying per bottle of wine. I don't know if this is well known, but a lot of restaurants upcharge their alcohol quite a bit in order to make profit, so it was a great deal for people. One day, a lady comes in with her friends and immediately starts causing problems. I end up taking over for the original server because they were so rude to her and it was her first day of serving by herself. The lady ends up ordering one of the 25% off bottles, which ended up being around $7 more than you can buy at the liquor store. And how do I know this? At the end of the meal, I can hear her talking to her friends about how she's gonna get the bottle of wine for free. She knew I was right there and could probably hear her, but she probably thought I was a server and probably dumb. And I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. At this point, I'm so ready to tell her no, and I actually wander by a few times so she could try it. Sure enough, she snaps at me, and I literally mean snapping her fingers. She calls me over and says, "I want you to get your bar manager. I looked online and found this bottle of Merlot for X amount, and you charged me X amount plus $7. I'm not paying this ridiculous overcharge, and I also want to talk to them about the service today too. I'm not impressed with you. Now, not to toot my own horn, but I was a good server. There weren't many people in the restaurant at the time, so I know I didn't neglect them, and I even substituted food for them and didn't charge them any upcharges. She looked at me with such a smug face until I smiled back at her and said, "Actually, I am the bar manager." I've never seen such a comical change in expression outside of a sitcom. She said, "You're the bar manager?" And I smiled and nodded and said, "Every restaurant will charge you more for the products than we buy them for. That's how we make profit. I'm not going to be discounting the wine. And as far as issues with the service, I would be happy to listen to your complaints and take them into consideration for the future." She spluttered, grumbled, and told me, "Well, I'll never be coming back here." Okay, good riddance, lady, and she didn't come back. Her friends did though, and became some of my favorite regulars. They told me a few months later that the only reason they went out with her was because she was one of their sisters-in-law and didn't have any friends. I wonder why. Yikes. Hey Jane, watch. I'm gonna get this bottle of wine for free. We won't have to pay for it. Just watch me. And then this happens. Oh my goodness, I'd be so embarrassed. But then again, I wouldn't have tried to pull this stuff in the first place. This next story's titled, "Yes, I do work here. And no, I can't do that for you." Every once in a while I have a weekend off. I'll go to my work and sit at the bar because the bartender is a great friend of mine. I obviously don't wear my uniform or anything close to that when I do this. I do have some visible tattoos and a pixie cut, and I'm the only female in the place with one, so I'm fairly recognizable, even if you aren't a regular of mine. So there I am, enjoying my beer when a customer I've seen maybe 3 or 4 times comes up and taps me on the shoulder. She's a regular, and I've waited on her once, and she was one of those entitled customers who thinks she's always right, and she's given us trouble before. She says, "You work here, right?" I replied, "Yes, ma'am, but I have the night off. I'm finally able to relax for once." I said that quite cheerily because I was actually in a great mood. And she replied, "Well, since you do work here, I need you to go to the manager's office and see if my sunglasses are there." LOL, what? Keep in mind, she could have asked her waitress or the bartender this, and she was very blunt and rude while saying this. Me, lying and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm actually not allowed to go back there while I'm off duty, but I'm sure one of my coworkers could." Still pretty cheery, still in a good mood, and then she says, No, I want you to do it. I've been watching you for the entire time I've been here, and I've noticed you've been on break too long anyway. Stop being lazy." Stop being lazy? It wasn't necessarily what she said, but her bitchy, entitled tone irritated me, and I had a couple of drinks in me already. Meanwhile, my bartender friend can't get a word in edgewise to offer to go get them, so she just starts giggling her ass off because she knows what's about to happen. Cue every server's dream. I replied, "Actually, I'm not lazy. I'm here on the night off, as I've told you, spending time with my friend and having a few. You're being an uppity bitch and killing my vibe, so please get out of my face and ask someone who's actually on the clock." Right then, as if the gods were on my side, my awesome manager walks behind the bar from the kitchen as he's heard everything. So she immediately took her bitchy rage out on him. He's really chill, doesn't give a damn about people like this. It's more headache than it's worth to him. He just waltzes back to the office, grabs her fake Dolce & Gabbana glasses and brings it out to her, and tells her to kindly pay her bill and not come back. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have said what I said, but she's not allowed to come back anyway, so whatevs. Guys, if I was OP, I totally would have gone back there to get the glasses, and then scuffed up the lenses a bit while I'm back there. "Ma'am, it was like that when I found it." I've been reading too much revenge stories that I swear I have a revenge for every situation in life. Oh my goodness. This next story's titled, "Just 'Cause I'm Young Doesn't Mean I Can't Be the Boss." I worked at a very popular nightclub, multi-level and younger crowd downstairs, big spenders upstairs. We're talking $70,000 a night on our biggest nights, and averaging around $30,000 on normal nights. We used to get tons of applications as the staff made great tips. I started at the bar as a bouncer for a summer job when I was 19 and ended up liking it and being good at it. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, and I'm 22 and have been made GM of the bar with about 50 staff members. We open during the week for deck drinkers, and I wouldn't usually be dressed to impress on some of the days, as I wasn't in the office all the time, or I'd be doing work around the bar. Anyway, I came down and let the staff in so they could get to work, and before we open, a girl knocks on the door. You know the type, looking down her nose at everyone with a holier-than-thou attitude. I open the door for her and ask how I can help her. She takes one look at me in my boots, work jeans, and t-shirts, and then scoffs. She walks right past me, without so much as a "how do you do," and tell the bartender she's looking for the manager so she can pass in a resume. I had the distinct pleasure of watching her face go red as I tell her that I'm the manager, and tossing her resume immediately into the garbage without looking at it. A lot of the customers we have spend the big money and look like nobodies. I'd actually pay money to see the look on her face. Guys, you can't judge by first impressions. It's actually very easy to look rich. Anybody can swipe a credit card and have a Louis Vuitton purse and be thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. Just be nice to everybody. And that's it for another episode of I Do Work Here Lady. If you guys enjoyed the stories, be sure to leave a thumbs up and let me know what you think. If you aren't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future stories. I try my best to upload every day. See you guys in the next one.